Welcome to the One Within All, to a very special episode of InnerVerse. We're live in it. Don't usually do it this way, but it just feels right to strike while the iron is hot. And we are going to be iron sharpening iron for sure here with this triplicity of fire signs. Allen Marcus, Slick Dissident, also known to you as Gabriel, the strength of God, messenger of God. We've got some serious wizard business not planned for you. We're just gonna see what happens. What's up, guys? How you doing?
It is warm.
Yeah, last time we did one, Alan, we had to stay off camera because we were so sweaty.
Yeah.
I am Iron Man.
So I want to say hey to everyone in the chat. This is really cool. We got Sapano, Matak Shili, False Reality Check, Sunseed, Limond, Stella Moon. There's more, but you guys know I love you all. Thanks for being here with us. And it is a pretty exciting day. I mean, to me, it's an 8/8 day. October is really the 8th month, if you know what you're talking about. We got, it's the 8th. I mean, there were 8s in my morning cards. What do you guys think? How are you feeling coming into this? We'll start with Gabe and then go to Alan. I'll referee that.
Feeling great.
Very tigery. There's probably going to be a lot of cat assery in this conversation.
For sure. Yeah, man. Thanks for the invite. This is going to be fun.
I'm always down to do some funning with you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
And Alan is really well dressed for the occasion. I mean, you both are. I wore a special shirt too, but
slept in real late and I had a strange dream. It was like an alchemical wedding.
Is there more to that?
Oh, there's always more, but I want to hear more about your cards this morning. I didn't get to see that.
Well, we started with the I Ching, which was progress, number 35, hexagram 35. That is an 8, and it's fire. Yeah, it's fire over yin. So it's like just fueled fire that's perfectly fueled and just keeps going in balance. Passionate, creative energy. And I'm feeling that right now too. We've been doing a lot of work on ourselves, and this is fun time. We're at a cool part of the wave, I think.
Absolutely. And I had one plan for this show, and I hope you guys brought a coin.
I brought 2.
Okay. All right. I had a bag of coins here somewhere, but I really only need one for today. And if you have a coin and you have a coin, that's 3 coins. Can you flip these coins?
Yeah, let's do it.
The other thing we're going to need is to record our flips. Gabe, do you have your whiteboard ready?
Looks like he's got it. I muted him because he's got a little bit of background noise, so I want to mute when he's not speaking.
Excellent. So let's flip some coins and draw some lines and see what that'll tell us.
I'm in. This is my jam.
Okay.
So who's gonna be the bottom, who's gonna be top, and who's gonna be the middle of this man sandwich? Because I figure we'll each flip twice to get the 6 lines.
Yeah, this is horizontal. So here's how I figured it. We each flip. There's 3 of us. That's 1 line, right? And we're gonna do that 6 times. Okay. So let's get this out of the way. If we show our coins.
I got you. And we're recording on Slick's whiteboard here.
And then Slick will write down how many heads or tails.
All right. So we also got to establish heads is going to be the unbroken line, majority of heads. Majority of tails is going to be broken line.
Correct.
We've got it. All right.
So we've got our coins, keeping them on camera. Try to flip it, land it in your palm, flip it, and then we can reveal it at once. Okay. What'd you get?
Tails.
Heads.
All right, that's a broken line on bottom.
Right, 2 tails. 2 T.
You guys are getting a lesson on how to cast the I Ching with coins right now.
We're doing it quickly. We got a lot to get through.
Yeah, we do. We're setting the tone the right way, though.
Ready?
Ready.
Let's flip. Tails.
Tails.
Heads.
2 tails.
We just did the exact same thing. Okay.
That's okay. Warm up your coin a little bit.
This coin's never been used for this before. It's silver.
Tails.
Tails again.
Heads again.
All right. So we got yin on bottom. That's the black.
That's okay.
The receptive is the trigram there.
We've never done this before. We
Never
may
done
never do it again, so pay attention. Here we go.
All right. Heads.
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 3
All right.
heads are better than 1, maybe.
That's a changing line on the
Yep.
4th line.
Yep. 4th line. Okay. 5th line. Here we go. That
It's
flew
a good
way
flip.
over
It's a
there.
heavy ass coin. Might not be the right one.
Yeah, I'm gonna use a quarter this time here.
Tails.
Tails.
Heads.
Okay.
2 tails.
Last one. Last flip, everybody. Thanks for hanging in. This is exciting. It's like a lottery.
This is determining our temperature right now. We know it's hot.
Heads.
Heads.
Heads again.
Another changing line.
3 heads. Okay. Wow.
So that gives us fire on top. And I'm not even shitting you. That's progress. That's hexagram 35. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. You guys just saw that, right? Everybody just saw that. This is why the I Ching is magic AF. There it
All
is.
right.
This
All
is
right.
this is
That was
exactly
from this morning's draw.
Yeah, we just did that. We just
Holy
did that
cow.
with yeah.
Holy
Absolutely.
cow.
So this will change. Now we have our first one here.
4th and top lines are changing, which means it's going to turn
Yeah.
into it turns into the receptive. Pure
Gabe,
yin,
do you know how
black
to
on
draw the
black.
lines?
I don't, but I give me instruction and I can make it happen.
Yeah, okay. For the first let's see here. Two tails is going to be a line with a hole in the middle of it. It's like
The
dash
first 3
based
lines from the bottom are going to be that.
Yep.
It's 3
Sure.
broken lines. And then the upper trigram is a solid line, a broken line, and a solid line. And it's changing to all broken lines. So we're going from progress, number 35, to number 2, the receptive, which is the pure feminine yin energy.
So I got the 3 broken, and what's next?
On the 3 heads line, draw a line and put an X in the middle of it.
Except it goes the other way. You're starting from the bottom. You go from the bottom to the top with the I
Oh,
Ching.
okay.
Go from bottom to top.
Okay.
I'll pull the card we're changing into out of my deck.
On the 3 heads line, draw a line and put an X through it. That breaks the line. And then 2 heads again. And then the 2 heads line, you drew that again. And then what was it, 3 heads? 3 heads is a line with an X in the middle of it, and that breaks it through. So Chance has already got the cards drawn for us. The first card is what?
Hexagram 35, progress,
Okay.
which is fire, the clinging passion energy, supported by yin, the feminine earth energy, the physical medium of reality. And then it's changing into yin yin. So pure mother energy, mother earth, pure receptivity,
What
yielding
number is it
principle.
changed to?
2.
Changes to 2. Okay. So it opens up wide, right?
And if you add, and if you add the 8, which 35 reduces to a 2, you get 10. So say 10.
There it is. So we're going for fire over earth into earth over earth.
Yeah, that's correct.
Most auspicious.
Indeed.
So there's our starting point for the day. What say you all?
I think it's pretty amazing that we just flipped coins and got the thing that I drew out of my deck this morning. But I see this kind of thing all the time with the I Ching, but I'm just glad that everyone else can see that this is what happens. This is what happens. So the changing lines actually have a specific meaning, and it's about the fourth line changing represents progress being something that should never require an ends justify the means. And if you ever feel like progress is getting tricky, get to higher ground, metaphorically. And the top line changing is about that if you stay focused on your work, your energy is going to increase. And I say fun more than work. If you stay focused on the fun work, your energy is not going to decrease from all that effort. It's going to multiply through the satisfaction of doing a badass bang up job. So that's what I'm into it. I'm ready for multiplication and expansion. How about that? Thanks, Alan. That's a great idea.
How does that even work? I don't know, and I don't try to explain it.
I just want everyone to see that magic is a thing, and it's not something you control. You just like get into, just do what seems fun, and then look what happens.
Yeah, part of that is setting our intention, and my intention was I'm going to get these guys to flip a coin with me. We're going to try a 3-way I Ching oracle reading and see what happens. And we're going to do it live.
That was awesome.
Snake Jones says he's trimming buds. I would say that bud is a very powerful representation of the 2 hexagram, the receptive. It is like literally like pure feminine energy. Oh, there's some buds. I was going to get a little bud in me, but
these are
I ran out of
mullein
time
seeds
before the show.
Yeah, these are mullein seeds, and I am saving these seeds. So we talk about saving our seeds. And
how you
now
guys
the
doing
time
with that?
comes.
I mean, it may be too personal of a question. It's going well for me.
Full retention over here, saving up the magic.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get coins burning a hole in your pocket, and it's okay to spend them when you need to for a good time. Let's not beat around the bush there, unless that's our intention, you know.
Man, this is a hot episode already. Spicy.
It's that middle way. If you're too imbalanced one way or the other, like, oh my goodness, you're trapped between the 2 pillars. And if you can just kind of weave your way through the middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so you know what I found out? Also, hey, Gabe, is there any way you could, I know that you're setting badass, but is there any way you could get headphones in and not quite be in the setup you're in, just for the background sound? I mean, I'm just like all trying to control everything over here. It's probably fine. No one's complaining. But if it's possible, go for it. If not, we'll just keep doing our thing. And I wanted to say something I found out last night that felt really relevant to what we're doing, is that for the first time, I looked up the chart for InnerVerse as an entity based on the date of first publication, which was December 10th, 2015. So I haven't really analyzed the chart or looked at it in context with my chart. That's something that needs to be done still, but just on the basic level, it's pretty neat to find out that the show is a Sagittarius. That's all I have to say about it. It's pretty cool.
So that's right around my kiddo's birthday. That's beautiful. Yeah.
I am a 12-12.
Yeah.
Ooh, strong.
Very strong. I always say that Sagittarius, could be considered an archer, but it could be a musician too.
Possibly.
A Sagittarius, a sage guitarius.
That's a pretty good read right there. Into that.
And my daughter is actually proficient in both. She can pull the bow and hit the target, and she can play a ukulele pretty well too.
I love that you've got that Antiquitech representation there, the triple cross. Much better than a double cross.
I'm glad he's got props, because I always worry when we do the theater of the imagination and then we bring in all this prop comedy, like we're Carrot Top or something, that the blind viewers maybe are at a disservice. So we'll do our best to try to describe everything accurately for those maybe squinting to view on a tiny screen device or listening later and not having the visuals.
Yeah, my main prop right now is I got my cutting tool, since it is an air season right now.
Your
And-
lightsaber.
Yeah, I got sweet tiger's eye pendulum that also doubles as a wearable. But tiger's eye, I mean, that seems fitting. And this just came to me a few days ago. So I thought, let's bring it in. Tiger's eye is one of my favorite. Tiger's a spirit animal of mine. And we're just like having fun.
We're just boys playing with our toys, our magical devices, having a lot of fun. These are these sort of, well, you can hear them and see them. All these treasures from the east, maybe as far east as Chinatown. I don't quite know where they first originated from.
Hey, so I do have a question though that would
Right.
be maybe kick us off into some heavy gravy. Who knows? What do you guys think? Take your turns about why did those Gregorians begin the calendar with Janus instead of Mars, instead of my birthday, which should have been the first day theoretically, because octo should be 8, right?
Absolutely. In the language that we have, octo is 8. September is 7. So 7 and 8. And the fudging around with our cookie calendar to organize it around holidays and feast days in a Roman Empire for working slaves seems to be their modus operandi at that point in history.
So here's something. Let me field this over to you, Gabe. Here's kind of what I'm thinking that just popped into my mind. They did the same thing with the day, which is that they tell us a day begins at midnight. So is this a way of connecting with sympathetic resonance to the whole idea of obscuring your true godly origin, right? Because it's hard to know when midnight is. It's not exactly the same as looking at when the sun is in its zenith in the sky and knowing it's midday. Midnight, metaphorically, it's midwinter, midnight during the beginning of January, that particular doorway. So you think that connects to some of the ideas that we discussed related to your actual origin as a conceptual being rather than a born product and good?
Yeah, I think it was a master stroke to initiate a global governance and a uniform commercial code, so that a nation upon which the sun never sets could come into existence. And so they definitely they left us hints and clues, and that's why we still know that oct is 8, and even though it's in the 10, in this, so I think the one thing I've learned is that the Uniform Commercial Code it comes from Catalonia, Spain.
Yeah.
And this I take as a very significant marcation to putting our finger on the events in history where these uniforms came into existence. And Catalan, Spain is very profound to me, and I've been thinking for quite a few years. Ever since Catalan started to demand their autonomy, a return to their autonomous, independence, that was a rattling and shaking of the foundation of the Uniform Commercial Code. And it has gone global because right now people expect a new uniform in order to do commerce. We have a new uniform we're expected to wear uniformly if you want to do commerce.
Right. And commerce is based in your person. You do it in person, right? And then a mask is a persona. That's an easy link.
The last time we spoke on InnerVerse, it was around graduation time. Do you remember that, Chance?
Yes, I do.
And we
I should
spoke
find
about
out what date it was.
Yeah, we spoke about the black ceremonial robes that graduates wear in high school or in college to get their diploma or their degree, and they'd wear that square Masonic hat on their head in uniform. All of the students would wear that. And I am wearing, for those who are blind, probably because the white balance is off, this off-white sort of monk's robe as a uniform representing myself as being a scribe. Here's a pencil and paper as we take notes of our own personal histories, our own stories.
I wore my Snake Lady shirt so we wouldn't forget to talk about seraphic subjects. And because it's hella fiery. I mean, this is a super seraphic shirt. I had no idea what it was all about when I got this like 6 years ago. It's kind of big on me, so I rarely use it. It's in great shape.
My robe, too, is also large. I hope to grow into it.
We might be giants.
We could be. We're standing on the shoulders of giants such as Carl Jung, who wrote the introduction for the English translation of the I Ching going back to 1963, I believe.
I need a copy of this. The one I have is kind of like Osho themed, which is fine, but I'm ready to get other insights on the subject for sure. But the art is so good on this deck. I mean, let me just pull this again. Look at this. The receptive. Why do you think this is coming up right now?
Is that like a giant
Changing
Buddha
Lines?
belly?
Yeah, but it's feminine, of course. You got boobies. It's a booby Buddha.
Well, as we saw on a certain Vibrant where I shared a spicy meme of an Alex Jones, the mammary glands are in humans, in all humans. That's what makes us mammal.
So you've got some man milk deep down inside.
Close to the heart.
You've explained the mysteries of the male nipple.
I contemplate it every time I shower.
Shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts indeed. Do you take a ritual cleansing bath? I participate in the tripartite in which I shower and then I get tired, so I sit down in the bath and fill it with water and just sit in there and cleanse myself, and then I get up and shower again.
See, I did the opposite. I cleaned my shower yesterday while I was cleaning myself.
Great.
Scrubbed all the black. I was using activated charcoal soap, and over the course of time, a thick blackish film all over the shower. It's not a good look. It doesn't make you feel like you're getting pristine and clean when you step into a grimy box. You want that white pearly that white pearly surrounding, right?
Yeah, as within, so without. You want to see the clean bathroom as you step into the shower, and you don't have to worry about slipping on soap scum on the bottom of the tub.
As you baptize yourself in wisdom with shower thoughts.
Well, you might
Bathroom
slip and hit
Baphomet.
your head real hard and have different thoughts or no thoughts at all.
You know what?
There's a danger to this.
I have a story about that. When I was 4, the first time my folks let me take a shower alone, I was so excited to jump up and down and splash in the water. I slipped and fell and cracked my chin open and got probably a wound that should have maybe had stitches, but didn't. So I have like a line right here at the base of my chin from that experience. And then, funny thing is, I forgot about it, as trauma often is buried. And the first time I ever ingested psilocybin, I fell down and landed on my chin just like that, and remembered everything from that moment. And it's a big deal.
Wow. That goes right in hand with the maxim that we recreate our traumas.
Go on.
We always recreate our traumas in ways that are so profound we don't even see it. Oftentimes somebody else has to point it out for you. But recreating your trauma is it gives you the opportunity to heal again. And this this is something that we used to do in the self-defense training that I used to participate in. The trainer would wear a padded suit, and the trainee would tell them a vulnerable situation that they had been through that probably didn't go very well, and we would recreate it in whatever way we needed to. We would even go into a car and sit, like if somebody was assaulted in a vehicle, we would go get into the vehicle and completely bring the experience back to surface and give them a chance to relive it and rewire themselves as to their response. And so they can become more current with the grief by bringing it up to date.
I wonder, Gabriel, do you have any stories of traumatic injuries to your chin?
For me?
Yeah. Because Chance mentioned his story, and we're looking for the synchronicities and similarities and overlapping. And I remember there was a time in my life where I was in such a hurry, and I was running along a sidewalk, and there was uneven pavement. You know how they pave the cement blocks, and then the roots of the trees will adjust them. So one was poking up and the other one was down, and I didn't look where I was going, and I tripped on the sidewalk, landed right on my chin and just gashed it open. So you can imagine, sticking your finger up and touching the bottom of your tongue, and we're talking trauma here. So the best I could get at that point was like butterfly bandages to keep it together.
That is a deep gash.
You want to drop your jaw, there are better ways of doing it.
Hey, Gabe has probably taken some hits to the chin in martial arts, a different way of experiencing more of a controlled trauma and intentional strengthening through adversity.
Yes, I actually, I have a very dark childhood trauma that it's very dark, but it happened. It recreated in the dojo one time, and essentially the childhood trauma had to do with being blindfolded and not being able to see. But in the dojo, I was sparring with my arch nemesis, who was a couple ranks ahead of me, a couple years older than me. Right. I hate losing my ability to see. It's a trigger for sure. Well, we had headgear on, and he managed to do a spin kick, and he spun my headgear around backwards. And I could barely see. I was trying to look through the cracks, the little breathe holes of the headgear. And I saw him look at the master to see if the instructor was watching. And then he looked back at me with the fire in his eyes, and he just started coming at me while I was blinded. And I ended up falling down on the ground. He got on top of me. And it was crazy because that was very similar to when I was a kid. It just happened. And he saw the opportunity to provide me an opportunity to relive my trauma, and he brought it hard. So at the end of that
yeah,
class,
it's like what took over him to go that far, and how that actually supported you in a weird way.
in a weird way, yeah. At the end of class, the instructor brought us in the office, and he said, "Now listen, the real winner here is going to be the first one to shake hands. So when you guys walk out of this office, I want that to be the determining factor as to who's going to shake hands first." And we walked out of his office, and he turned to me and put his hand out right away because he was so competitive. And I just walked past him. I ignored it. And then we get out to the car because we had to drive home together. We actually were from the same neighborhood. And I opened the door for him, thinking that was my, taking the higher ground. And he puts his hand out again. And I just kind of shoved his hand and pushed him in the car, forget all this, just get in here. So he offered his hand, but I opened the door. You know what I mean? We stayed competitive throughout, but that the moral of that lesson, it's still with me. Forgiveness is a real thing for me. It's very powerful, forgiveness, and plays into my life in a big way. I got a lot of 7 sevens. 7 by 7 is 49. It's the number of forgiveness. And my name has 7s all over it. I was born in 77.
Me too. My birth date is a 7. My name reduces to 7. I got it too.
Yeah. It's a big thing, that forgiveness. I tell you what.
And 7 is a very musical number as well, with the 7 scales.
Yeah.
On the gematria side, I've been kind of into the septenary cipher lately too, because the octave connotation there. Oh wow, we got a 777 right here. Looky there.
With the blindfold,
Charles Nolan, 777.
I was thinking of those training montages in those kung fu movies where the master's like, "We're gonna put a blindfold on you." There's a scene in a Star Wars movie in which a young Luke Skywalker, maybe father-son connection, and he's told to trust his instinct and then not what he sees with his own eyes. I think that's kind of what the I Ching is getting at here in a sort of Western perspective, when we want to see the chain of causality, one event leading to another, leading to the third event in a clean chain of custody. And Carl Jung comes along talking about acausal connections with synchronicity and trying to explain how the moment attracts objects and ideas and thought forms in their similarity, and they layer together in that moment, and the cause of that being acausal, meaning there was no chain of custody to say, hello, let's gather our ducks and put them in a row. All the ducks line up here. It's more of maybe the ducks were having a feeding time, so they were gathering at the pond together at that moment, while someone walks in with duck face taking a selfie, turns around and realizes there's a bunch of ducks mocking her in the background of her selfie photo. And that might be significant to crushing her ego just a little bit, to realize that animals are mocking her in their sanctuary.
I'm really in this zone right now where everything is the message constantly. It's really cool. And I think where the hack is that's opened this up for me is radical honesty with myself and with expressing exactly how I feel to people all the time, even when it seems like you shouldn't say that. And it's been that opens up the channel for the universe to communicate, because you're tapping into some fractal dynamics there, and also your body to communicate with you. The more that you open up the channels, the more you go from feedback loops to the web, the interconnectivity of every point to point of your system. It's amazing.
Yeah. You know, it's just overwhelming right now. We're talking about the chain of events and the acausal correlations. I see it in your name, Chance. The chain C. Do you see the connections, or are you taking the chance that they're acausal?
I don't know if this will come into focus clearly, but this is from the new moon when I did a coin flip of an I Ching, and that's basically what it brought us to on the new moon being the 10-6 on Wednesday, the first being 10, being the treading, changing into sincerity, 61. 61 saying, venting true feelings, sincere prayers will be answered from meager offerings. So that's another synchronicity connecting the idea that from 10 treading, meaning our steps, when we're taking steps towards learning, determining what direction we wish to head in, directed by our venting of our true feelings, which will determine why we're in the place that we are and where we should go. If we're led by our feelings blindly, we may find ourselves in places that we don't intend to be, but subconsciously the intention is clear. We are being ruled by our emotion.
Well, you consider that concept in a tarot sense, then there are dynamics beyond just being ruled by emotion. You one day will find intellect ruling emotion, another day you'll find emotion ruling intellect, and any of these configurations can be appropriate for the matter at hand, as long as you're open to the what is, the is. It is what it is. About treading too, 2 days before the new moon, I pulled treading for my morning video. And then the next day I got the resolute or resoluteness, which is the exact inversion of the trigrams of treading. And then just for fun, the next day after that, I got the well. And on the new moon, I got dispersion, which is another sequence of the exact same elements and then reversing them. So this keeps happening where we're turning things on their head, but that ends up being the ideal path.
So part of that is surrounding yourself with props and magical tools and symbols. So I have an old tin cup here filled with coins representing the intuition, the cup, the water of tarot. Do you guys have other toys to show and tell? What are your magical toys that you've brought, Gabriel?
Well, Jupiter's wealth, right? And 10 is Jupiter, so there's a lot there.
There may be 9 coins in the cup.
Nice. Very nice.
Put 10 in there or 11, it's overflowing. Maybe that's too many.
Mm-hmm.
You focus on attaining a 9, then your emotions may be full. But if you go 10 or 11, maybe your emotions are overflowing and overwhelming.
Gabriel gets it. He's 9 across the board in gematria, his first name.
Yep. So my costume is the amalgamation. Oh, nice. Nice, Allen.
This is Earth. The Earth,
Yeah, man.
the pancake, the slice of a tree. It's wood.
The penta cake.
My main toolkit is crystals, pretty much, and like a huge help for me was putting this sunstone right on my solar plexus.
Yeah.
Keeping it there most of the time.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much I can contain my own power and not lose it through poor boundaries, just with this symbol constantly reminding me that that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. So as a Leo, I'm very auditory. I love to roar. I love to sing. I love to speak truth and say very provocative things, get to the heart of the matter as soon as possible. And a talisman that I wear with me at all times is It's the fang, the lion's fang.
Should have just taken your shirt off. This is supposed to be a hot stream.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, this is my this is my Chris knife, and it doesn't come out often. It does not come out often. It's only when I need it.
I knew we were gonna get into Dune.
Oh yeah, and I do. I keep this sheathed and covered up. I bring it out just for to sleep, pretty much. But when I need my utility, I keep another one on my hip. This is the one that, this one comes out when I need to use something for whatever benign purpose. But this one over my heart is much more sacred.
I thought that if someone else saw it, that they had to die.
Yeah. But that's okay.
You didn't unsheath it, so we're all safe, right?
That's right.
It'd take a long time to hunt down everyone in the live chat.
No death today. The blade remains sheathed for now. Maybe it'll be unsheathed in the second hour.
That's right. Waiting for the day of prophecy.
Yeah, don't forget, people. We're going to be doing hour 2 only on Rockfin because that's how we roll. And you can mosey on over there. I'll drop the link again. We got some people already hanging, but it's worth it. And thank you, Stella, for signing up to my channel through the link. It's in my opinion, a healthy boundary to do it this way, because the more support I get from everybody, the more I can support myself and then bring that energy to the situation. So what about Dune though? Is that where we want to go, or do we want to talk about orphans and Ophanim? Because that's the other thing that I have noted. Those are pretty much my only 2 talking points.
Sure. To your point earlier, we have a first free hour here where we kind of hold back a little bit. We know we're on these public platforms and there are mysteries for the initiates and the secrets that we don't want to speak about publicly. There are trigger words and things that'll cause offense to those who aren't ready to hear them. In a private setting, we all agree that we want to participate in the conversation as adults, speaking our truth, venting our true feelings on a platform in which we are able to do so. Right now, the soapbox that I'm standing on might be a little bit topsy-turvy and I might fall off of it. So I might sit down for the second hour, but right now I'm standing on a firm foundation here on my earth pentacle. And the reason we were discussing Dune happens to be a birth date of an author aligning with the date of today. October 8th, is it today?
And in the Gregorian, since that's a 108, which has some significance too.
Frank Herbert's birthday, the author of Dune, happens to fall on this very day in our current calendar system. And that brings us back to this idea of a Chris knife, or a special blade that Gabriel was just showing us now.
And Dune reduces to 44 and 17. So there's more 8s and 8.
Wow.
44 and 17 in ordinal and full reduction. So
nice.
There's that.
And so there's also 108 beads on a rosary. So there's another charmed implement.
And we said this at 44 minutes 44 seconds.
There it is.
In this show, I have a clock right here.
So what we're doing today is showing examples of patterns that we have noticed, and the importance of pattern recognition is to determine that our world, our reality tunnel, this very existence that we are experiencing in our waking life is, can we say the word is to be so specific and determined to state that this reality is not mechanistic. It is not a series of gears and clockwork that runs according to a clockmaker who might be a government employee who decides that this is the Greenwich Mean Time. This is the time that everyone will agree to. There are internet time servers that our computers are set to sync to, and yet in the story of Dune, they learn a very important lesson in which to not rely on computer algorithms and decision making, because there is, I don't know if I can say the J word safely on this platform. It rhymes with ahad. G rhymes with ahad. And there's that war against the artificial. And the artificial in the Dune universe becomes so powerful for a period of time that it threatens to destroy everything. The universe decides that they will outlaw such technology and instead begin a breeding program to create humans that will function as computers, calling them mentats.
Okay, so we'll get to this orphan thing later. This, I see the connection powerfully now. But what I want to say about Dune in that context that you just listed, which has been, especially last year, was a huge thing for me trying to parse out this artificial versus real thing, because my whole life is about art. My spiritual path as an individuated in an individuation sense has all been about creativity and the fun in that and expressing uniqueness. But we have the same root word, art, in artificial as we do in the arts. This could be a curse placed upon us by the weavers of linguistic dream spells. But I think, look at Dune and it's like, wow, that is extremely profound. They're outlawing these forms of technology. Technology means art etymologically. It's actually the meaning of it. But do they have creativity? The only real creative applications that they come up with, the characters in that story, are the ways to survive or wage warfare. So I think that you are looking at a representation on a subtle level of a universe that the pendulum swing took it too far into the dry desert, the fire with no water, right? The waters of life are missing. If you look at a story like the never ending story, it becomes very clear what the true meaning of creativity is in living the life that you want. And you have to forget, you often have to forget everything that you thought you knew to reach that point of source and that spark of the creative, the flow. There's a reason why we call flow state a flow state and water flows. So anyway, I think in the Dune universe, you're seeing a representation of where they're caught in a duality pendulum, where they've gone from the artificial ruling to war against the artificial, and thus war against creativity itself, which is a feminine attribute. And the corruption of the feminine comes through in the Bene Gesserit schools. I think we see this right now. That's the female Illuminati. If you've researched this subject, behind every great man is a more powerful woman. This is an aspect of the so-called patriarchy too, that every man was raised by a mother theoretically, or a lack of being raised. And we can't point to one side and say they're the reason the world is all fucked up. And we can't point to the other side and say that we both have a hand in it. And we need to meet in the middle.
Yes, it's very important. And our mothers carried us for about 9 months. So, in a way, when we celebrate a birth date, a date of delivery, and yet we ignore the 9 months that our mother carried us, it kind of does her a disservice and a disrespect to not say, well, I was born on this day, but I ignore and completely forget my date of conception and the period of time in which I was in my mother's womb.
That's why I believe the 9-3 is sacred, and it needs to be honored in a new light. That's the 9-3, the 9 months that we're in there. There's the 3 months that we come out to make the full circle again, and that is sacred. That's a sacred proportion. And it's got a real shady connotation in a lot of people's mind right now, and it's on us to purify it, to make it righteous again.
I can connect that to the angelic host or the UFO phenomenon, in that much of what our modern kickoff into these ideas derives from are events that occur along Highway 93, the Betty and Barney Hill case, and such things.
Nice.
Very true. 93 is a number in the Thelemic religion based off of Crowley-anity, Aleister Crowley, who brought us our idea of what a gray alien will appear as in our collective minds. So in Thelema 93, people will greet each other with the number 93, 93, 93. They'll say, love is the law, love under will. Oh, let's go back to the beginning of that verse. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. The word love is thelema, or will.
Damn, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. In English ordinal is 444. And in reverse ordinal, it's 555. So that's pretty crazy.
And that phrase was incorporated in the Never-Ending Story with the phrase given to Bastian.
And I think that this is a very sticky area too, because, I mean, we talked about Crowley the other day, just three of us. Oh, man, I'm glad we're just circling around here, because I'm not into the things that I've come to understand about the dude's life and the orders that he was a part of and brought to bear. But if you understand it properly, or understand it properly, that do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, it recognizes that the do what thou wilt is referring to do what feels right, not do anything just to have power over others or control the world.
They've shortened the phrase. They've cut off that phrase from the source. The source is from love. You do what you will, you do what you dream based off of your heart chakra, your love and compassion for other human beings. To take that phrase and then use it in an inverted satanic way to say that you are the center of your universe, you will do what pleases you only without consequence, is a great disservice to yourself. And it is a warning that many people are ignoring at this point in our timeline.
Yeah.
Snake says, thy will, not mine, be done. And my way of conceptualizing that would be, it's the will of the greater life fractal, the life force energy, orgone energy, that which flows through all of us, the I am. If you strip down the feeling, if you strip down every identifier that a being has got, the name, the location, person, place, thing, take all that away, and all they've got is the sense that they exist. That sense of I amness is the thing that we all share. It is completely identical in every living being across the fractal. So that's the will of I am that we need to be respecting. I am what I am. It is what it is. You can look at it from either of those directions, as Isis or Jehovah, but both of those conceptually represent a verb over a noun, a state of eternal self-existing existence. And then, so that gets into the question of our origin again, in my opinion, because how can there be a beginning to that which is eternally self-existent?
That is a wonderful paradox. And there's another paradox that I want to mention before we forget it. That's the paradox of the intellectual property of representing a novel, a story, a universe with complete lore book and encyclopedia. That's Frank Herbert's Dune. And the screen adaptations, the moving picture version of Frank Herbert's Dune, has an entire history of attempts and failures. And this is why I'm so interested in why there is now a new version of Dune coming to IMAX theaters in real 3D. Will you experience a retelling of a retelling of a retelling in a retail setting in a mall at the
And
cinema?
IMAX, like blowing up that false ego maximum.
I to the max. I will exist in isolation in my recliner in the theater. Silence your cell phone on my behalf, and please, no spoilers until I see my movie on my big screen.
Right. Yeah.
A big screen. That's what we put up between ourselves and our true feelings. That's the mask of persona.
Which is so interesting when
And here we all are on
Paul
screens.
Atreides-
We need to get together in real life, fam. Let's all meet at Snake Jones's farm next week.
Absolutely. And I laugh at the representation of the protagonist in the first novel, a 15-year-old boy named Paul, perhaps like an apostle, a 15-year-old boy played by actors who are not 15 years old. So you have adult males seeing representation of their teenage self played by adult actors in the role of Paul Atreides on the big screen. Timothy Chalamet, however you say that name, the latest representation, I don't know how old he is, but he certainly looks older than 14 years old, 15 years old, 16 years old. He's clearly past his puberty stage.
Interesting, thereby negating the hero's journey to a large degree, or even inverting adulthood into infancy. Either way, it's losing its original form.
In the Neverending Story screen adaptation, in the first film, we have a child actor. We have 3 child actors playing the role, which is far more age appropriate. So in this idea of artificial, and art, we have the other idea of bringing a nuanced idea to a proper representation in the screen, which in some ways kills the mystery, and for many uninspired people shows them what is in their imagination. And there are arguments about, do we use actual props, actual puppets, build real sets, or is this going to be actors performing in front of a green colored screen or a blue colored screen, just reciting lines back and forth to stand-ins as the story comes together in post-production?
I get to skip post-production this time.
Post-production.
Oh man, and what mysteries are there in just that prefix of post? That's a whole nother can of worms.
Mhm.
The post where you might crucify your personhood by posting notice on the poll.
Mhm.
The postmaster general and the militarization of that particular branch of government. In fact, I hear that the reason they're having such a hard time keeping up with the post right now is because they are watching us on Telegram and other such channels. And that's like admitted. You can go find the stories.
And they
Their
told us.
their law enforcement wing of the post office is
Yes.
monitoring our communications in
Our posts,
yeah.
to make sure we stay posted in the right line of thinking and don't get out of our lane, as they say.
And
But
here
also
I am.
post and reverse is stop.
Yes, and here I am looking for my bell to remind you that the postman always rings twice.
Ooh. Wow.
I don't get it. help me out. Slow on the uptake.
Well, it's a double death, potentially. There's
Two
Judas.
rings like an 8.
Oh, nice. Fool, FOOL. But even
The Lemon Scott Day.
yeah, Judas had to die twice. First he got hung, and then his guts spill out on the field. Christ got put up on the post, but that wasn't enough. They had to stick him in the ribs. Double death. The double tap. That's rule number 5 of Zombieland or something like that.
Very important rule.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think we should move over to Rockfin. I would just let this go super long, but I actually have to keep it within a certain window to make sure I can go pick up some art prints that I need to have with me this weekend so that I can fulfill an intention to pay my way through all the fun I'm about to have with my creativity and my gifts. And it's very doable. Anyone can do it. So anyway, there's going to be, I'll let you guys, of course, you need to plug yourselves. That sounds weird. How about you just need to promo yourselves, okay? Before we get over there. And I'll drop the link over to Rockfin again. Patreon patrons can also catch the second hour. It's just not going to go up live. So you'll have to wait till I put that on there later. And there's going to be a 2 or so minute musical mid-show break between this and the Rockfin. So you'll have time. Take the phone call you need to do or go to the bathroom or whatever. And after we wrap up these outro promos, we'll play that 2 minute with the cool graphics I made, dendrites and flames and fiery constellations in there. And then we'll get into what's next over on the Rockfin side. And it's going to have to do with aliens or angels or orphan trains and training orphans and other forms of rings that might be
The
sacred.
rings of the tree determine the age of the tree.
Yeah. So Alan, where can they find you? Obviously allenmarcus.com is a thing.
That's my link tree. Made it myself. Gabriel, where can we find you?
What else do you do, Alan? I believe that you're on some other show I know about.
Oh yeah, that's right. Weaving Spiders Welcome. That will be the link on the allenmarcus.com link tree. You will find it there.
Nice.
Put all the links to these things in the YouTube chat here. And Weaving Spiders Welcome. I get in on that too when I can. Not going to be able to this Saturday because I'm going to be out doing things in the real world, but it's always my intention, if possible, to flow with you guys because it's like this, but maybe even wilder.
We'll
There's
have to
more of us.
include the link to Chance's first appearance as an honored guest on Weaving Spiders Welcome. I listened to that early this morning in preparation for today.
Nice.
We'll have to dig whatever stands out from that conversation to link into what we talked about in hour 2. So keep that in mind, Alan.
Absolutely.
Sweet. So yeah, my YouTube channel is Slick Dissident right now, and I'm over there just kind of doing whatever subject comes to mind, and I take requests. I've had a lot of people in my comments say, "Hey, look into this," and some of what they've suggested has, brought me into some real deep insights. So I'm always very open to interaction with anybody who's interested in what I've got to rap about.
Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you. Ooh, got a show and tell here. Thank you to the tippers over on Rockfin. Stella, Lemond, Jenny B. Wow, great.
Nice.
Appreciate these tips. They're racking up. You guys rule. Nice sword there, Alan.
We have swords for the second hour.
S words. We will cut through confusion.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, all right. I'm going to hit up the musical intermission, if you will. Give you plenty of time to mosey over to the Rockfin app or on your computer. It's better on computer, but I know we can't all sit at a computer sometimes and take in this form of content. But I'm content with who will be there, the right people.
Thank you, everyone who's joined us for this afternoon delight. It's been quite delightful.
Yeah, it's nice to do this in the light of day. Speaking of light. All right, guys, thank you for hanging in here with me. We're going to have to do this fire triplicity again at another auspicious date. This is fun.
See you on the other side.
Takes and pieces.
All right, we're back. Let me turn off YouTube. Bye, YouTube.
All right.